Path to Nowhere is receiving a lot of praise for its most recent update, and admittedly, I wanted to cover that. I have a dedicated video on Path to Nowhere where I went on to state that it is an absolute masterpiece, easily the best gacha release all year. But scrolling through the comments, I immediately noticed that Path to Nowhere and Arknights players were acting like Genshin and Tower of Fantasy players, bickering amongst one another, acting like their game is superior. And while I understand where players draw this comparison, I also want to note that both games are so contrastingly different from one another that I really wouldn't ever compare them outside of the individual categories that they are both present within. Before we go ahead and jump into this video though, I do want to take a moment here to thank all of our incredible patrons over on Patreon. You guys are true SSR quality husbandos and waifus, and I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for the support. Also, if you guys are bored, come and follow both Mrs. Stix and I over on Twitter. Not to draw obvious comparisons because I enjoy both games, but I wish Arknights could take a page from Path to Nowhere. I used to read 1 or 2 paragraphs on a story from Arknights, skip everything, read another 2 paragraphs, and the damn thing would still be talking of the same stuff as the first 2 paragraphs. That's just bad writing being extended for the sake of it. Arknights has the same problem as Genshin, little substance in walls of text. And admittedly, these discussions continue both in this thread and a multitude of other threads. This thread in specific was just brought to my attention as I was browsing Reddit, because as a fan of Path to Nowhere and Arknights myself, having played both of them, Arknights since the beginning of this year and Path to Nowhere pretty much since I think a week and a half after it launched, when I see a thread titled
Path to Nowhere, a new event, should be an example for writing good story and characters,
I have to click it, as I'm sure you guys no doubt would too. The OP in specific goes on to state that the event is amazing, the story specifically, the voiceover, well, admittedly the voice actors were some of the best that I have heard this year. The voiceovers in Path to Nowhere and the voiceovers in Nikke are prime examples of dubs that were done right. Say what you will about Nikke as a game, its English dub is damn good. The story is written really well in a clever way. The investigation is a cool element that allows for you to experience some parts of the story by collecting evidence and sorting things out. Not to mention, it's not your typical standalone story. Pretty sure there's some interaction in there that will have some sort of impact on the main plot. There are breathtaking visuals, unique and rich OST, not to mention good rewards. Path to Nowhere keeps surprising me in a good way. Admittedly, I have not had the opportunity to participate in the event yet, just like I haven't participated in Arknights' new event yet, both of which because I have been actually very busy recording, I think it's called Shadow Brides, and oh my god, I've dedicated too many hours to that game, and it is arguably one of the worst things that I have ever played. I will have a dedicated video on that sometime later this week, but I am very excited to get into both of the new events. I know that there are people that believe one game is better than the other. You guys are more than welcome to believe as such. There's nothing really stopping you from enjoying one game more than the other, or enjoying both games like I do. But seeing the Arknights community and the Path to Nowhere community, which is admittedly a very new community, devolve into trash talking other good games, other popular successful games, just like Genshin did with Tower of Fantasy and just like Tower of Fantasy did with Genshin, is kind of sad. We should be appreciating these games for what they provide us, and that is a fantastic quality alternate experience to what we already have at present. This does not need to replace another game, this just needs to provide us an alternative to what we already have, for better or worse. Now, for those of you that are still playing Path to Nowhere, I'm curious what you think of this event down in the comment section below. Let me know, and more than that, let me know if you've actually managed to complete the game. The difficulty spike got pretty severe. Now, if Path to Nowhere, Arknights are not the kind of games you're interested in, no problem. I got 2 different videos on screen right now that'll definitely be of interest to you. One featuring the most popular MMORPGs right now, these are MMOs you should play if you're interested in multiplayer games. The other is a list of gacha games that I believe are the pinnacle of the genre. These are the gacha games you should be playing if you're interested in gachas.